Yes, guys, Spud here, and welcome to episode 77 of the Roundup. And in today's episode, we look at Gentlematers. George Seaves breaks the S&D record for Black Ops 7 in a 3-0 victory against Surge. OpTic lose to both G2 and the Royal Ravens in an absolutely dreadful weekend where they get Neslo'd twice. Falcons continue their perfect streak. Cloud9 bottle a huge chance to get a series win over Koi as Koi's struggles continue. I will be obviously predicting the final week of online qualifiers this week before Major 4 in Paris, and then we have Champs, and then we have EWC in Paris as well. Won't be a long episode, this one. Do like if you enjoy. But unfortunately, there isn't really that much to talk about today, so we're going to just get into the games. Start with OpTic here against G2. It's a 3-2 win here for G2. What I will say, Mercules is really struggling at the moment. Like, obviously I know his stats are still good, but if you look at some of these series recently, he is really, really struggling. I don't know why that is. Because obviously, like statistically, like they still got the best S&D KD in the game, but OpTic are terrible at S&D at the moment. And to be honest, S&Ds and Overlords on LAN finals is the reason they haven't won anything this year. The hardpoint, yeah, they're always good at hardpoint, this OpTic team. Credit where it's due though to G2. Envoy with 108 kills, not a bad showing from him. I think it was map 4 that he went off at, yeah, 45 and 32 here for Envoy. That's pretty good going. But yeah, G2 with a decent win should be enough for them to get into champs. We'll obviously look at the standings as well when we get to it. And then we had a Gentlemates bottle job here because they were 4-1 up in that game 5, but FaZe take it. It was a very, very close series except that S&D and Hacienda. If we have a look at this, I mean, Jordan Seaves has already come onto this team and is having a big impact. FaZe got outslayed but won the series, and that's all that matters for FaZe. They've had a pretty rough start to this split, to be honest with you. But so we'll have to see how they do for the last two matches and then obviously Major 4 going into champs. I mean, look, some teams will have a bad Major 4, but you've seen OpTic in the last 2 seasons have been terrible at Major 4 and then have won champs, so it is possible. OpTic weren't as bad at Major 4 last year because they obviously had Mercules for the LAN event, and then obviously Champs and EWC, they just clicked. But yeah, we had quite a lot of Game 5s this weekend, which is good to see. As Boston Breach almost got the reverse sweep. They've had a good split now, yeah, they're not going to make Champs, but Boston Breach have definitely improved. Um, It was a Beezy here showing what he can do. 90 kills. On the other side, Spart and Afro doing well. TJ and Purge not so much. I wonder what Boston Breach do, because obviously they're not going to make champs. I'm presuming they'll probably just stick with the same team now for Esports World Cup and then go and let's see what they do next season. Will they even be in the CDL next season? My prediction, early prediction, is that a couple of these teams are going to leave the CDL next year. Cloud9 will leave the CDL. And I think Carolina Royal Ravens will leave the CDL. I think everyone else will stay, but potentially, you've got teams like Boston and Surge. Will they stay? I just don't know. But Boston do turn it around on the Saturday game as they win 3-1 here against Koi. Obviously, Koi are struggling with obviously losing George Seaves because he was such an important part of this team. I mean, Afro had a good weekend, 1.18 here. MVP, I assume. Might be Purge though for that damage. No, it is Afro. Obviously, Purge there with 14,000 damage in a good 3-1 win. The maps that Boston won were pretty close, but obviously they were able to see them out and get the win. So yeah, well done at Boston. Good result for them. And then we have another OpTic disaster class. This one was an Eslaw, yeah. I mean, 2 round 11s. This one they scammed. They almost brought it back. Ravens almost choked on Den, but yeah, it's not good enough from OpTic. Lurks, he was really good in that final map. He went 15-6. You know, I'm interested to see what team Lurks is on next year because this guy's a talent. And I hope this isn't going to be another Gwyn because it could be because he's not shown anything on LAN yet. This could just be Gwyn 2.0. So we'll have to see how that one goes. But well done to Ravens. Obviously, it's a big 10 CDL points. If they'd won both their games this weekend, it would have been massive. They're the only team really with an outside chance of sneaking into the top 8, but it's very, very unlikely. Uh, and then we have Miami versus FaZe, and this was a shock result because obviously Miami have struggled with this new roster so far since Real came back, but he had a good series here, as did Rencor and Super. A rough weekend for FaZe. I know they obviously won one of their series, but still not the best. They're not playing great. O4's had a couple of rough series. It's kind of how he was playing at the start of the year. It's a big 10 CDL points for Miami. You know, just solidifies their chances of making champs a little bit more. Um, but I can't see them doing much at Major 4, if I'm being perfectly honest. The final game on the Saturday was LA Thieves versus G2, and G2 almost had an incredible weekend, but did lose map 4 and 5 here against LA Thieves. And it was Hydra scrapping a VZ, causing damage here. G2 though did play well this weekend. They obviously beat OpTic, took Thieves to a map 5. Well, Thieves took them to a map 5 technically, but yeah, it was a good weekend for G2. They look a lot better with these new improvements in the team with Envoy and Nasty, 2 decent pickups. Don't get me wrong, Estrel was the best player on this team before. Obviously, Nasty to Mamba from going from Mamba to Nasty is a huge, and I mean a huge upgrade, as you'd expect though. Now, this was a really fun series to watch because honestly, Cloud9 scammed map 1, in my opinion. Then they won map 2 and map 3, and then they scammed map 5 so hard. I mean, if we look at the stats, obviously Wevy was okay. On the other side, Insight getting MVP is rare when it wasn't, except at Major 2. A good showing from Insight, but Abe is half the player with draw the saves. And Koi are going to have a really bad end to the season, unfortunately. Obviously, they got back-to-back third places at the LAN, which in my opinion is a decent result, but I don't think they'll get better than top 6 for the next event. And then I think champs will be the same. I can't see them getting better than top 6 at champs. And then we have the Draw Deceives Masterclass on S&D. This was a dominant win, by the way. Mamba 1.17, whatever. Draw Deceives obviously a 1.34 is good. Estrel a 1.48. MVP though did go to Draw Deceives because of map 2. 9 rounds, he got 18 kills in 9 rounds of S&D. So it's the record. If this game had gone to a round 11, he would have probably got like 22 kills, which could have been, he could have ended up getting a Call of Duty League record. Or even just a Call of Duty esports record, genuinely. 18 and 4 is ridiculous. And then they won 7-0 on the exposure overload, with Estrel going double positive. Surge's roster changes all season have been so bad. They were so good last year. They got to like Champs Grand Final, EWC Grand Final, and now this is 2026 Surge. And then we went game 5 for the last game, and this would have been this was a massive game for Ravens. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it over the line. Falcons had to wait a long time to play their series, but they do win it. 3-2 Falcons. Lurks again, that best player though on the side of Falcons. Couldn't think of the name there. But a good weekend overall for Falcons. I mean, Standy obviously had a rough one here, but he did get a 1v2 against OpTic. I forgot to mention that. But they did kind of line up for him. It was easy. He was shooting from them from behind. But sorry, that doorball pizza looks, that doorball football, sorry, looks incredible on that Pizza Express advert. But yeah, Ravens I think had to win that. So before we do, no, we'll do predictions first, and then we'll have a look at the standings, and then we'll do obviously MVP ladder stuff like that, and then that's it. Ultimately, there's no news at all. So we have Falcons versus Fares. This is the last week of online qualifiers. Falcons versus Fares. Honestly, with how Fares are playing, I'm going to go 3-1 to Falcons. Thieves Cloud9 3-0. Gentlemates Boston Breach 3-1 Gentlemates. Miami versus Cloud9 3-1 Miami. Surge versus Thieves 3-0 Thieves. I almost said 3-0 Surge. Koi versus OpTic 3-0 OpTic. Uh, G2 versus Riyadh Falcons. Good series this. I'm gonna go 3-1 G2. Surge versus Heretics. I mean, Heretics might end up scamming their way into 3 wins. We're playing Cloud9 and Vancouver Surge. I'll go 3-1 Heretics again. Koi versus G2. I'm gonna go 3. I'm actually gonna go 3-0 G2. And then the final online qualifier of the 2026 season is Fares versus Carolina Royal Ravens, and I'm gonna go 3-1 Fares. And then we have the major on the Thursday. So obviously I'll have to make sure that, I mean, I'm working a lot that next week, so I'll have the roundup predictions. I'll have to do the roundup on Monday. So if we have a look at the standings, obviously it's top 8 that make champs. Um, as you'd expect, top 4 definitely got it. I'd say Koi have definitely got it. Because obviously of the games that if Miami didn't have easy games, Ravens could have a chance. Yeah, they'd have to probably get to the grand finals or get top 3. They'd probably have to win the event. It's not going to happen, but at least it's mathematically something that could happen for champs race. Ultimately, Major 4 is going to be about who's seeded where. I mean, I think the top 4 will stay as it is. So ultimately, you're looking who would you rather play, and would teams rather play OpTic at the moment because obviously of the fact that they're struggling against. They've obviously had a couple of rough series. I feel like you'd probably want to be playing FaZe at the moment out of these 4 though. But yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. Right, let's do our ladders. So obviously this is the penultimate week of the ladder, I guess. Wait, would it be the penultimate? Um, is it the penultimate one? Can't even think. 20 the next week, then the week after. Oh no, so there's 2 more weeks of the Rookie of the Year ladder after this. Look, there won't be a change. There won't be a change. The Women's Rookie of the Year. Kips is a very good second and Lurks is a very good third. And the top 3 is not changing. Actually, no, third could change depending on if like Surge go on a crazy run with Mamba or Craze, or Cloud9 pull off the unthinkable, or if Abe turns into like Mercules at champs. It's not going to happen. There has been a change on MVP ladder though. I've decided to put Scrap into third and Mercules has gone down into fourth, which maybe that's controversial. I don't know what order this is going to be in going into that final week, which is week 22. If um it comes down to who wins the event. If one of these 3 teams wins the event, I think I'm going to put that person at number 1. Scrap genuinely has just come out of nowhere for this MVP race. He's been a solid player all season, but I think obviously getting a Major 3 MVP has a big impact. I still think Hugh is the best player on OpTic's team this year. Um, I think Simp has been very inconsistent recently. This is Simp's worst season, in my opinion. Genuinely, for a couple of years. Um, and like I genuinely do believe that. I just think that I just think that he's not been like the same caliber of player, where he'd go on absolutely crazy streaks. And obviously, this is a new look phase. You've got to remember they have won a tournament this year, which is a good showing. But I do think that Simp has not excelled as much because of the fact that he's not playing with Selim and Abizi anymore. But that's just my opinion. I think he's obviously been good. If I didn't think Simp was good, he wouldn't have been in the top. He wouldn't be set. He's been second pretty much all season in the Rookie of the Year ladder, except at the start when it was like gentlemates heavy. But anyway, that's going to be the end of this episode of the Roundup, episode 77. So 78 would be Major 4 prediction, 79 Major 4 review. Then we'll probably do two more before champs. Um, Maybe one or two more before champs. Obviously, we'll have a champs prediction. Realistically, by the time the season ends, including EWC, it'll probably be like 85 episodes of the roundup, which means only 15 off 100, which we'll do next season. Because obviously, last season I wasn't sure if we'd be doing a third season of the roundup, because technically this is season 3 of the roundup. Even though we started season 1 during the season, but see, it will be coming back for a fourth season. But that's going to be the end of this episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I know it was a short one. Let's see what the last week of online qualifiers can do, and obviously let's get ready for Major 4. Major 4 predictions next week, that'll be exciting. I'm not putting OpTic to win. It never works. Alright, thanks for watching, and like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.